In this game, we're going to be taking a look at a Sicilian Kan from the 2025 U.S. Senior Championships with Grandmaster Shabalov with white and Grandmaster Christiansen with black. Let's get right into it. And the key feature of the Sicilian Kan with A6, getting a good grip on multiple light squares. And it really depends on your style, but I would say from experience, the most difficult system to face is the Marazzi bind. But for a player like Shabalov, who has a reputation for aggression, I understand either knight c3 or bishop d3. He played knight c3 in the main game, but it should be noted bishop d3 can get the same kind of structures, but if black goes bishop e7. But the new trend in the Sicilian Kan is to play bishop a7 and be willing to sacrifice the g-pawn in a lot of games with if queen g4. So this is what's trending in, say, the Sicilian Kan books I've looked at in the past few years. But after a6, knight c3, and here the old move was queen c7, but in recent times b5 has been picking up in popularity. And then after bishop d3, I want to say about 10 years ago, queen b6 was played as the most frequent move. But again, nowadays, due to courses and books that I've seen, bishop b7 is the main move. And queen e2 was played at this point, which is second choice. But I feel like it's a very light error based on the lack of flexibility with an idea that white has in the main line. So let's do a quick comparison. So if white follows the main line with castles and black does the natural move knight c6 to try to trade pieces, rook e1 versus queen e2 leaves us with a key idea. So black typically plays queen b8, but white has knight d5 as this is with the rook on e1. You don't necessarily want to capture here as it's activating the pieces. Black's king's kind of stuck in the center, and this is problematic. So queen e2 was played in the main game, and its development, knight c6, and black plays the very active bishop c5 compared to the normal square it's going to is e7, very much like this move. And why this bishop needed to go to c5 versus the typical setup of bishop e7, knight f6 is one thing that white is eyeing in the position is the point to play e5 followed by knight e4. This is a key idea in the structure. So knight e7 to discourage white from playing e5, which he does anyway. And this is one of those scenarios. How much is a pawn worth? I am not in the business of grabbing this. It's very likely our king wanted to castle kingside, and it's just opening the door for a huge attack. So, understanding what white wants in the position. What's the best move for black? If knight e4 is the plan, the very strong bishop d4 was played. So, knight e4 isn't going to be played if the e5 pawn is going to be hanging. f4, preparing knight e4 again. So bishop takes c3. We just take away the ability to play knight e4 altogether, and we follow with knight d5, threatening to get the bishop pair and ruin that pawn structure in front of the white king. So bishop d2, and another good move, b4. We want to fix as much as we can the pawn structure, and we're aiming to be able to play the very active queen a5 to get closer to having that attacking position that we need. So this is one of the moments in the position that white plays the very natural and aggressive queen g4 to start an attack. But due to how the main game went, I feel like bishop e4 is going to be stronger with the idea of, say, after rook b8, we have queen d3, and on g6, rook h to e1. And it's not so much looking to attack, but on the king side, as seen in the main game, but to consolidate what we have in the center. And you can look to optimize at some point with g4 and continue to press. It's not the easiest to see how black is continuing like in the main game. So let's get to the main game. After b4, queen g4, hitting the g-pawn. So one move threats have one move solutions, g6. And now h4 is played, but there's still time to come back to this idea with bishop e4, followed by queen f3, and the queen needs to stay on this third rank in order to stop different tactical ideas that black has. But h4 is played, and now queen a5, hitting the a2 pawn. Could be some issues with king b1, so bishop c4 is played. But now the queen improves, and with the bishop on b3, this now gives a very clear plan of attack for black. Let's continue to bother that bishop and press our attack. After queen e2, this is a good moment to pause your video if you're looking to play some solitaire chess along with the players. Take your time here. What is the most aggressive way to continue for black? All right, I gave you a moment to pause your video, and in this case, knight c3 is quite strong as we're getting rid of the bishop pair. B takes c3. I'll let the viewer figure out why that one is busted. Bishop takes c3 was played in the game. B takes c3. And here, no matter what, the white pawn structure is going to be ruined. So likely best is playing h5 and taking the opportunity to go all out. Is likely a move like rook g8, which is awkward, needs to be played. White's improved the position. And after rook h3, more options to swing this rook over for aggressive defense on the queen side. C takes b2. It's a game. But after b takes c3, rook h3 immediately was played. King b1, a4, rook b8, now h5, rook b4, continuing pressure on that bishop, getting it to go away. Now, in order to avoid any tactics on the h file, let's move the rook. After queen d2, we don't have a way to continue pressing the attack as our pawn is being used as a shield on b2 right now. So we need to turn our attention elsewhere. So rook d4, pinning the bishop. Keep the tension on that bishop. And this pawn was left as bait, as now I want to get my worst placed piece on the b file. So to first start this plan, king e7, queen, or d6 first. So looking at queen a7 immediately, but the problem with queen a7 immediately is likely queen b4 check, so d6. Now queen a7, followed by rook b8. Now every black piece is in harmony, and we answered that question. How can we improve the position the best way? What's our worst placed piece? These are often questions in order to come up with a plan. After queen c2, queen c5, hitting that a3 pawn, and white can't really hold it all together at this point, so we need to run. Check. More important pawn than a3 falls. Utilizing the pin. Now, we don't want white to get play here, so what is the best defensive move? Well, we're going to use the bishop to keep our rooks active. And after check, we want to keep our king holding the f7 pawn. We got the threat on the queen. What's the best way to handle it? Again, hitting the a3 pawn. Keeping pressure, both of the c and a pawns are hit. And after queen f4, let's try to finish things off here. Do we need to defend? Well, we can defend by aggression. Rook b2 check, followed by queen takes c3, as there is no way to continue the attack here. As queen f6, we can even trade queens and we'll have a winning position that way. With no checks, white resigns. Hopefully you enjoyed this series on senior championship games. If you did, hit that like button if you're not following us already. Subscribe as it helps. Sincerely appreciate it.